Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the best all-sports podcast in Boston.
Why?
Why not? Watch out.
Really? Oh.
Here we go.
This is the Duck Boat Report, your home for the biggest news
Boston has another championship.
and the hottest takes
About the accomplishment. Woo.
in all of Boston sports.
Whoa.
Oh boy, we're getting excited.
To take you through everything happening in the City of Champions, here are your hosts, Brady Gardner
It's not really a victory lap, I'm just saying.
and Patrick Donnelly.
I'm losing faith.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the Duck Boat Report. Here with Patrick Donnelly, I'm Brady Gardner. Patrick, how's it going?
We're good. We're the definition of, I always say surviving the week, but we are
Yes.
literally just trying to make it through.
It's a Friday, though. We're done. We're both done with classes. Things are good, and we've got some Boston sports to talk about. So everything is just dandy. Patrick, do you have a leadoff thought for us?
I think David Pastrnak, he was named second star of the month, rightly so.
Yeah. Was Carlson that good? first time?
Carlson, I think it was the most points per game by a defenseman since Bobby Orr.
Wow. Okay.
Which
he was that good.
He was insane this month, and no sign of slowing down either. But yeah, Pastrnak, he's second in the league in points. Draisaitl passed him on Wednesday because the Bruins are dormant until tomorrow night after Tuesday's win, and Draisaitl had a 3-point night. Here's Ethan.
Oh, we have our throw-in already. Ethan is calling in. Let's get him up if we
Hello,
can.
Ethan.
Hello.
Oh, he's alive.
We welcome
Okay.
in Ethan Fuller.
Yeah, Ethan, our throw-in. Oh, we have the applause for Ethan. Ethan's on a tight schedule right now, so we're getting him in early. We're getting him before my leadoff thought, so you have to stay tuned for that. But Ethan, how's it going, and what do you have for us today?
Going well. I found this nice spot in West Campus that's super quiet. Didn't realize we were right in the middle of the show, so I'm ready, though. I'm back and better than ever.
All right. So what do you got for us?
Andrew Wiggins, anything?
I don't really have an Andrew Wiggins throw-in.
Thank God.
We know the debacle that happened with Townsend and Beat for the Wolves, so we're gonna skip over that for now. My throw-in is that I don't think a lot of people are realizing. I mean, I just took this last game for a lot of people to notice, but Jayson Tatum has been great, and I think he was off to kind of a slow start in the first couple games, but I don't think it was as bad as a lot of people realize. And I think he's actually starting to be a little underrated. He was overrated for a long time. I think he's a little underrated now.
Interesting. Well, his stock definitely fell a little bit last year, at least in terms of the expectation of him. So, the way he performed, especially in that win over the Bucks that we will get to in this episode, you got to think that, he's got quite a ceiling. And I agree with you, Ethan. I think he really showed it yesterday, just what he can be, and it was certainly exciting to watch.
I also agree.
Yeah.
Everyone was harping on the bad shooting percentage and efficiency on the opening night, and then he was great on that Friday against the Raptors, and then he was also pretty good against the Knicks. And then he wasn't that efficient in the first half against the Bucks, and people were all over him again. And then all of a sudden, he turned it around in the third quarter. He partly single-handedly brought that team back in the game.
Yeah, 25 points, only 4 rebounds, 2 assists. That's not great, but 39 minutes.
Ethan, would you agree that since we are dealing with the de-Mamba-ing of Jayson Tatum after we think Kobe ruined him last year, and we saw him and Paul Pierce just living it up on the sidelines, do we think we're seeing the Paul Piercing of Jayson Tatum?
The piercing of that sounds gross.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, that was just such an amazing moment when they high-fived after he hit that step back three. I think I tweeted that out again today because if you're a Celtics fan, that's all you can dream about. But yeah, I'm looking at Tatum's stats right now. He's put up, I know it's only 4 games, but 21.5 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals per game, which is really good. He's been playing great defense, although they didn't put him on Giannis, which was interesting, but playing great defense. Really the only issue is that right now he's just not finishing at the rim at all.
Yep.
He's shooting, or I don't know if to call it shooting, but finishing 43% of his attempts at the rim, which is terrible. And to put that in context, his last 2 years, or his first 2 years, was about 65% at the rim. So that's going to go up. And considering his stats otherwise already look great right now, it's only going to get a lot better. He's shooting up 48% from 3 right now. So if he gets back to that 40% 3-point shooting, he could really take off.
All right. So, go ahead.
I agree with your points about it's a little concerning, but I do like how certainly by the eye tests and the stat line of where the shots are coming from are much better compared to last year. And I think those are going to they're going to start dropping at some point for him. But you got to be encouraged by the shot selection, how much better that is.
Yeah. So what I like to do, as you may have noticed with our throw-ins, I like to kind of challenge the callers a little bit and take it to the extreme. So you mentioned Jayson Tatum, Paul Pierce having that little moment. Is Jayson Tatum the next Paul Pierce of the Celtics, Ethan?
Well, if you want to be completely honest, I'm going to go with, I think he's going to reach that level. I think he's going to reach Paul Pierce level. Obviously, they're very different style players. Paul Pierce is nowhere near the shooter Tatum was. I think Paul Pierce's shooting gets overhyped a little bit. Jayson Tatum also, I mean, he's a bigger player, but nowhere near just like the strength that Paul Pierce has. But I actually think as far as Paul Pierce getting all-stars, some All-NBA recognition, let me look up some of the awards he got. I think Tatum can reach that. If he keeps being a good defender, if he shoots the way he's shooting, if he passes a little bit more, he does struggle passing the ball. And Paul Pierce for most of his career, he was a pretty solid passer. So Tatum's got to play in the offense a little bit more. He's still taking a lot of those ISO plays, whether that was because of Kobe or just himself. Don't really know. But I'm going to say yes. I think Tatum isn't the same style as Paul Pierce, but I think he can be the next homegrown Celtic great.
Yeah, I like it.
I 100% agree. With Jaylen Brown.
Oh,
he
God.
and JB.
Oh.
No, you can't have two. It has to be
you
one.
can. You absolutely can have two.
So Jaylen Brown's going to be what was Paul Pierce's equivalent at the time? He really didn't have a 1A, 1B situation.
Rondo was a homegrown star.
He's a different player, but yeah, I get what you mean. Okay.
They had two.
Somewhat. You can't say Brown is the same player as Rondo, but
no, they're
not
even close to the same player, but they were homegrown all-stars.
All right, so you think that it's going to be a similar tandem?
I
Your
agree.
offense runs through those two guys?
I think they have their big
years to come?
three for the future. It's Kemba, JB, and Tatum.
How old is Kemba?
Kemba's 28, right?
Ethan?
He is, I think he's 29.
Okay,
I think he's like a young 29.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's, for years to come, but for now.
Well, for the next 4 years, yeah.
True. Okay. So that's good. Yeah,
Which
Jayson
is a long
Tatum,
time in the NBA.
Jayson Tatum's game has come a long way. And Ethan, before we let you go, can we just get your general reaction to that win over the Bucks a couple nights ago?
It was a game changer. The Celtics are 3-1 now, and if you lose that series against if you lose that game against the Bucks, you've lost the Bucks and the Sixers, and that pretty much just relegates you to just being thought of as a second-tier East team, which I still think they are. I don't think they're a serious threat to make the NBA Finals, but you beat the Bucks, you held off Chris Middleton doing his Chris Middleton thing, and you saw just about every player in your offense contribute in that game, other than Brown, who was obviously out with an illness.
He's also out again tonight.
Yeah, out again tonight. Not as worried about tonight's game with the Knicks, but but that was a big statement game for the Celtics. Even though I don't think they're going to make the NBA Finals, or I don't know if they really have that much of a chance, but it really said, "Hey, we belong in the conversation," which is huge.
I agree, because we had that loss to the Sixers on opening night, and yeah, they looked terrible, but we were like, all right, it's opening night. We'll give this team a chance. And then they looked great against the Raptors, at least in the last three quarters. And they looked great against the Knicks, but then against the Knicks. And they come out and they looked terrible in the first quarter and part of the second quarter against the Bucks. And everyone was all of a sudden writing this team off. And it's like, come on, guys, it's 3 games in.
Yeah, their first half have been an issue so far. Because, you said it against the Knicks, the Bucks didn't get off to a great start offensively against the Sixers, but that's the whole game. So definitely want to see a more complete performance, especially tonight against the same Knicks. Yeah.
Alrighty, well, I think that does it then for Ethan's throw-in today. Thank you very much, Ethan, for stopping by on the phone. We appreciate your input as always and your expertise, especially in terms of basketball. And good luck with your future endeavors later today that you're running to now. I don't even know what he's doing. Okay.
Women's basketball.
I'm checking in on women's.
Really?
Checking in on women's basketball. Yeah.
Oh, good. How about them be a woman? Be a women's basketball team. That's exciting. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Ethan, and we'll catch you later.
Thank you. Great to stop by, as always.
Alrighty. Off into the sunset. That is Ethan Fuller calling in with a very early throw-in in this episode. And he kind of took my lead-off thought a little bit where, like, this Celtics team, I think, showed you in that 116-105 win over the Bucks, just like how good they can be, where when you got to the peak of it there, where they made their comeback from 19 points down, ended up 11 points up, I think, you saw it there where you had the lockdown defense. You were shutting down Giannis, and, you were making it really difficult for the Bucks on the offensive end. And then going, towards your attacking rim, I think you were getting everybody working. Kemba was coming up with his, classic Kemba plays where he just finds the little gaps and makes the shots. You had Hayward popping up with some big buckets, especially in up close, which is great to see from him. And then the main man, Jayson Tatum, making those huge threes that really brought the Celtics back, got the building going.
Got Paul Pierce going.
Yeah, he definitely did. I think it just really showed you what this Celtics team can be. And to me, it was exciting. Fourth game of the season, right? And they're showing you that. Like, it seems like we have a solid basketball team to enjoy this year. So that was good to see. The point after, as we talk about games that happened, well, we've kind of already done it. Celtics and Bucks. Again, Celtics getting the win after being down for significant stretches in that game. Just look at the box score real quick for your Celtics. In terms of points, I already mentioned 25 for Tatum, but 32 for Kemba Walker to lead the game, 21 for Gordon Hayward, and 19 for Marcus Smart, who was huge as well. Did you see Marcus Smart play in that game, both ends of the court? He was looking like a pretty impressive player.
As he always does.
Yeah, I think Marcus Smart is just, showing his value more and more, it feels like, with this team.
He's the glue. He's probably the default captain, even though they don't wear C's on the jerseys, and it's not really a thing anymore in the NBA. I mean, he technically does already wear a C on the jersey. But
I think I made that joke before.
I think everyone's made that joke before.
I liked it. Okay. Yeah, and I think, too, you talk about Marcus Smart, he was defending Giannis at times, getting in his head, drawing some charges, as Marcus always does. And then he's, encouraging the team on. He's getting them to make that comeback. Who did that remind you of, Patrick? Who can do those two things? Al Horford, Patrick. Thank you.
I wasn't ready for the question. I just went all wide-eyed on you.
Yeah, that's funny. Do you see the kind of comparison there where, you talk about Al, he's the glue of the team. You literally said Smart is the glue of the team. And, Al was your shutdown defender against, some of the stars of other teams. Marcus was able to do that the other night. Al was the guy that always was positive, always keeping guys going. That's what Marcus did.
I mean, Marcus has been doing it, though.
But I feel like
this isn't something new this season.
I think people forget about that, though, when they think about Al Horford left the team. What does it mean? I think they forgot a little bit about what Marcus Smart is, and I think he showed you in that win over the Bucks.
I think they forget a little bit about how much of a factor Smart is, and I think he plays a much bigger factor without Horford. Wow, why did I say Horford? I kind of agree, but I also, in the sense that he's already been doing it.
True.
And I don't think it's anything really new aside from the fact that he's probably taking on a larger capacity in that sense this season without Al Horford.
Yeah. Alrighty. Moving into some hockey. Did we react to Bruins-Sharks?
I don't think we did.
I don't think so. I don't remember when that game was. This whole week
Tuesday.
has been a blur. So no, we recorded on Tuesday. If that game was Tuesday, then we did not talk about it. So Bruins 5-1 winners over the lowly San Jose Sharks. Boy, are they a mess right now. And the Bruins made them pay. 2 first-period goals from David Pastrnak, David Krejci, and then after Brent Burns got one in the second period, the C's responded. Bees, my gosh. The Bruins responded with 3 goals from Charlie Coyle, Chris Wagner, and Brandon Carlo to put away the victory. Patrick, your reaction to that big win for the Bruins?
We watched the San Jose Sharks implode in front of our very eyes. It was ugly.
Yeah.
For the Sharks' point. For the Bruins, you really love to see it, and you circle, I think it's March 21st on your calendar. Mm-hmm. I think that's when they play each other at the SAP Center. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of a rivalry brew here because, Evander Kane and Zdeno Chara go back to last season, and Kane's kind of just been one of those.
Yeah.
I don't want to say punk,
rat.
but he's been. Yeah, he's a rat.
He's on that rat tier with Marchand.
Yeah, and he's been doing it for a couple of years now, and it really came to a head last year. And on Tuesday, him and Chara, the shenanigans.
Yeah.
And
they didn't let it happen. The refs.
Yeah, the refs didn't let it happen, which was really annoying. Brett Ritchie got into a good fight with Barclay Goodrow. I love that name. And good for Brett Ritchie. I'll give him props. He shellacked
earning
Barclay
a roster
Goodrow.
spot.
Well, he had a maintenance day today, and Bruce Cassidy said there's a little bit of concern of him missing practice, but he should play tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Which is all right. If we'll get to Connor Clifton later. But I don't know. I just think the Bruins looked really good, and I don't think much has changed because we've talked about how great they've looked for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
And I just think the biggest takeaway for me is how much they kind of just banded together, especially in that third period when things were getting ugly and they weren't taking anything from the Sharks and they were all sticking up for each other. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways. And also Brendan Dillon, if the league could suspend for plays that didn't happen, he would have a 6-game suspension. So Brad Marchand in the third period, third period, dangling through the zone, gets through, I think it was Melker Karlsson and Brent Burns. He loses the puck, and he's crossing back in front of the net to go back up ice, and Brendan Dillon comes from the other side and launches off his feet, elbow first, trying to just get – it was going to get Marchand in the face. I'm watching it now. It's like Brad Marchand could have just been in serious trouble if Brendan Dillon connected, and he misses and takes out Brent Burns, which is kind of a microcosm of the Sharks season right now. And that's coming off the heels of Brendan Dillon got Austin Matthews up high and probably should have gotten at least a fine from that in the previous game.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's getting really ugly for the Sharks.
To Marchand's credit, I feel like there have been a couple of those already this season where people have gone for kind of dirty hits, maybe the hits that Marchand at a point in his career would have done as well. But Marchand just keeps finding ways to avoid the hits.
Like look at this. He just launches. He was going to take his head clean off.
Yeah, that's not great.
Like, he should have at least had a phone call from player safety.
I don't know. Marchand's certainly got eyes in the back of his head with the reputation he carries around. He knows that people are looking for him, and so far he's been able to avoid it, which is important for your star player. But regardless, I would say the thing that stands out to me the most is just the confidence that the Bruins are playing with right now. I think part of it has to do with the goalie. Tuukka Rask, probably the best goalie in the NHL so far, right?
He is. I believe he's leading. If things hadn't changed, they haven't played since Tuesday, obviously. If things haven't changed, he's still leading in save percentage, shutout, or he's second in shutouts.
Yeah, he's killing it.
You can go on and I'll find the stats.
Well, the way that Tuukka Rask is playing, they know that they can push forward and they can go for goals. And he made 16 saves the other night, but that's really not that impressive because the Sharks just couldn't get any offense going. And I think part of that has to do with just the way that the Bruins are playing in the attacking end. I mean, you look at it and you got David Pastrnak there playing with so much confidence. He can just sit back in the Ovechkin position and whack at it, and it just finds the top shelf every single time.
He's legitimately in the conversation for the Maurice Richard Trophy this year.
Crazy. And then you've got David Krejci, who's still kind of working his way back, nagging injury of some sort.
And you see the second power play actually looked great.
That's right, because they're playing with confidence.
And they have Krejci.
Brandon Carlo shooting the puck. Who knows why?
2 goals in 3 games for Brandon Carlo. Whoa.
Confidence. And then Chris Wagner, looking like an all-star.
Well, he had a couple of those last year.
Awesome.
He's amazing on the breakaways. And after the game, Bruce Cassidy says he thinks Wagner's a good candidate for a shootout, but would just get his head. He would not hear the end of it if he put Wagner out ahead of Pastrnak or somebody.
Yeah, that's true. But
he never puts Patrice Bergeron out there, so we might as well put Chris Wagner.
Yikes. Anyway, Wagner with the silky hands to put it through the 5-hole on the breakaway. It just felt good because you got every line clicking. They're just playing with a ton of confidence. They're 9-1-2. Best team in the NHL right now. It's been impressive for the Bruins.
It has been. And on my man, Tuukka Rask, he leads the league with a .951 save percentage, leads the league with a 141 goals against average. That is, both marks are clear of second place. Thatcher Demko, BC product, in second place in both categories. That's the qualifications has played 4 or more games. And wins, he's 2 off Marc-Andre Fleury's mark of 8. He has 6. And Pekka Rinne, Tuukka Rask, Carter Hutton, and Peter Mrazek are all tied for the league lead in shutouts with 2.
Wow. Yeah, this Bruins team has been really fun to watch. They're killing it. Everybody. Let's just hope they can sustain it.
And after an okay start to the season, McAvoy has looked really good in the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm. So they'll try to keep things going tomorrow when they take on Ottawa at home. Tickets at $65, which is a little ridiculous for the Ottawa Senators, but it's a weekend game.
We'll check back during the day tomorrow. Maybe they'll go down.
God. Okay. They also take on the Penguins on Monday, which we may or may not be reacting to our next show, depending on when that takes place. Probably Tuesday. So, we'll probably be reacting to that one as well. But those are the games that the Bruins have coming up. And I said it last show where you're kind of getting into an easier stretch, and you've gone through the supposed harder stretch with 9 wins.
I mean, Pittsburgh, on paper, the Bruins might have a little bit of struggles because Pittsburgh's remained afloat surprisingly without Malkin, and who knows when he's going to be back. But they're without Malkin. I think they have a couple other key injuries. I mean, Jared McCann's been a revelation for them. I think he's still out, or either Nick Bjugstad, one of those two. So, injured Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh certainly on the decline. We'll see.
Alrighty. A little bit other news here. The Red Sox now have a new pitching coach. Thank God. Dave Bush is the name. I've never heard of him, but when's the last time you ever heard of a pitching coach? I believe this means that the Dana Levangie, the last guy, who his
He's
staff wasn't so great. He's a scout, right?
Yeah, he's remaining with the team as a scout. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. When you have problems developing young pitchers and you feels like your farm is kind of struggling, let's put that guy in the scout position to try to create young talent. No, I don't know. Feels like maybe the problems this year may have been beyond him, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But yes, Chaim Bloom is rebuilding this staff a little bit, so he's already put his mark on the organization.
The announcement about Levangie going to scout was before they hired Bloom.
Yes. But now they have Dave Bush as pitching coach and Kevin Walker as the assistant. Two names that don't mean anything to us right now, but perhaps they will this time next year. Anyway, I think we're either at the time for some face-off takes. If you have something on your mind, something tells me you probably don't. I don't either. Or some throw-ins. What do you think, Patrick?
And ones, you meant?
Sorry, and ones. We already did the throw-ins.
So
I have my face-off take, too.
We talked about Brett Ritchie missing practice today.
Oh,
And
yes.
On the third line, Connor Clifton was your right wing today.
I love it.
And so, a little backstory. I believe he must have played right wing at some point in his amateur career. And he played right wing for a game in Providence last year. And he also scored a goal at right wing in the Prospects Challenge a few years ago. And we just know how Cliffy hockey is, as we've dubbed that term.
Love it.
I would pay a lot of money to see Connor Clifton as the first man in on the forecheck.
Just bang bodies around there.
He would waste the world. He's not even for someone as small as he is, he hits hard. He finishes every check, and they're usually pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Good puck skills.
Yeah,
Good skater.
He's a tremendous skater.
I feel like he could fit in right wing if you really needed him.
Because we've
right
talked
wing.
about this on like 3 straight podcasts between but separately for whether it's BU or NHL, where defensemen are so much easier to have up at front, at forward in a pinch. And honestly, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, especially since he has experience in the pros in a couple games.
And you have depth in defense, too, with Kampfer. You can slide in.
Kampfer Miller was back skating in a non-contact jersey. Moore still skating separately from the team, but it's progress. Happen. I would love to see it. He certainly has the skating ability. He's a tremendously underrated skater just because of where he is in the Bruins lineup. And people saying, where does Clifton fit when Miller gets back to the lineup? No, where does Miller fit when he gets back to the lineup? Not where Clifton fits. Clifton's earned his spot. I think Clifton is a great top 6 defenseman in the NHL, onwards and upwards, and he signed a 3-year, $1 million extension one way, so he's not going down to Providence.
Yeah, I like him. I've come a long way on Clifton the last year, I must say.
Yeah, you were down in the dumps on him when he first came up, and he looked great, and you were like, I don't know, show me more by the end of the playoffs.
He showed me more.
You were all in.
I am
He's
all
been
in.
Great.
He has. All right. Other news, the New England Patriots this weekend taking on the Baltimore Ravens in what is definitely their most difficult matchup yet. My face-off take of the day, Patrick. Lamar Jackson's going to really struggle in this game for the Ravens.
Really?
He's going to stink.
Really?
I think so, because we know the Patriots, and they're going to take away the best thing you have. And for the Ravens, the best thing they have is Lamar Jackson. He can make plays happen with his feet. He's running for first downs. He's buying time and chucking it deep. He's doing all these things just because he's quick and he can, read the field well, whatever. I think, Belichick has a history of beating up on these, younger quarterbacks the first time they see him, which is what this is. He always makes it difficult on those quarterbacks, trying to read difficult defenses, whatever it may be. And then B, the same thing about Belichick likes to just shut down whatever the best option is for their team. And for them, it's Lamar Jackson. So I don't know what it is that's going to make this happen. Maybe, some QB spy, something. Just always have a linebacker in there to monitor Jackson and keep him in the pocket or whatever it may be. But I just think that could be a difficult day for Lamar Jackson. At least I hope it will be. But I think it could be.
I tend to agree in the sense that the Patriots are always lethal to young quarterbacks.
Right. This is their first time seeing him, right?
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't want to completely write him off. Also, sounded a lot like you were talking about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's got a better arm.
I don't know if he'll be terrible like Baker Mayfield was or like Sam Darnold. I think he'll be just okay. I don't think he's going to wow us, but I do think the Patriots will do enough to neutralize him. If that makes sense. I don't know. I don't like the idea, just the amount of talent he has and who he's been able to do the things he's done this year against.
True.
I'm not keen on totally writing him off.
Yeah, he does have a better track record than some of these other young guys that they've come up against. So
Yeah.
fair enough on that one. But I just know, the Belichick way here, they've had a little bit of extra time to prepare for this one, with it being I guess a Sunday to Sunday games where, they've had, Sunday to Thursday, and then, I don't know what I'm saying. But they've just had plenty of time to prepare for him. I think they're ready to take down the Ravens this weekend.
See,
yeah.
My trepidation, and this can also be my face-off take, I guess, I don't know if the offense is going to be good enough.
You don't think they'll be able to keep up if it becomes a shootout?
Yeah.
You think the defense lets it become a shootout? No.
I mean, but say it does.
Okay.
Say it does, just for the sake of conversation.
Then no, the offense can't keep up.
And also, but say it's, I don't know, but it can also not be a shootout, and the offense can also keep up. Like, it can be like a 20-point game, and the Patriots have barely gotten over 30 points a couple times this year.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, it could be like two teams in the 20s, and the offense just might look terrible doing it, and it just might be a snooze fest on that side of the ball.
Yeah, this is a legit offense that you're coming up against that has the potential to put up points, and if they do, can you answer it? And I wouldn't say I'm very confident that they can.
I wouldn't either, and we've been saying, originally we said the Browns is where it gets real in the schedule on paper before the season.
Yes.
On paper before the season, that's where the schedule got real. This is the first game that actually means something.
This
I think
is a real game. We know it.
This is a real game. This is not you versus the Alabama Roll Tide.
Mm-hmm.
This is not Patriots versus, I don't know, the SEC.
Foxborough High School.
Foxborough High School. We'll see.
Yeah, I think this will be more of a Mohamed Sanu game. I think we will see a whole lot more of him this game, not just in terms of catching the ball, but also just being out there, because I think there's only so much he could learn in 3-4 days, whatever it was last week. So I think now with a week, an extra week, and a game under his belt, I think he'll be ready to be more of a contributor in this offense, and so maybe that puts them up a notch a little bit in terms of offensive production. But yeah, I think this is another game where the defense will be relied on to shut down that opposing offense, and the offense will do enough to stay on top, probably early and often. And we'll see if the Patriots can get it done on Sunday Night Football. So there's your preview of that game. Any other throw-ins for us, Patrick? I have a couple.
The Bruins, I think this is like a little bit going back. Yeah, obviously it's going back to the Bruins. In the spirit of Halloween, which was last night, I think the Bruins are the tightest team, like the most close-knit Boston sports team I've ever seen.
Really?
This year's Boston Bruins.
Over the 2013 Red Sox?
I mean, I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And it was 5 years ago or 6. So
I would definitely give you the tightest Boston sports team now.
Yeah, definitely now.
Okay.
It's got to be up there.
Yeah.
As far as all time, but just seeing like this team, whether it's the Halloween party and the costumes they have, or again, I referenced this last show, I think Matt Porter's issue in the Globe, or piece in the Globe about what they did after the Game 7 loss, and the mental health and mental approach to the game that they're doing as a team. I'm beyond impressed, and it's before the season and when my dad called in, I was like, oh my God, is the window really open? I think it's firmly open after what I've seen through the season, what I've seen from this team off the ice. I think this team has each other's backs, like we've said. They will lose a limb for each other, and they'll go all out. Just from what I've seen and what in red, it's obviously impossible to know not being in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think they can do it.
Wow.
I think they can climb the mountain again. I really think they can.
All this because they had a Halloween party.
No, just from I don't know. Like I haven't doubted the team in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. There's been no reason to. They're the best team in the
They've
NHL.
been playing so good, and just what we've seen off the ice, it's incredible.
The only concern is, can they keep this pace?
Yeah,
can they do it in January when the legs start to feel heavy because you had a short offseason?
And you can't get up for a Tuesday night game.
Right. That's going to be the challenge.
That's what every rookie says is the hardest part, getting up for those games in the middle of January and February during the dog days.
Yeah. Well, they've certainly proven that they're still a team to be reckoned with thus far. But it's a long season.
All I'm saying is I would not be surprised if they climb the mountain again.
I like it. Alrighty. My thought... yes?
Not for nothing, but Michael Hawley agrees with me.
Okay.
He even kind of planted that seed in my head.
Wow.
He said it first. I was like, I don't know. And then he kind of convinced me.
Okay. Wow.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
you
right.
go to office hours with your professor and you start talking about the Bruins.
Interesting. Wonder if he's made that opinion public. He has now. Okay.
I bet they've talked about
Yes,
it
I'm
on
sure.
Boston Sports Tonight, but that's on at like 11 o'clock, and we're doing other things at 11 o'clock, like homework. So
That's true. Okay, moving forward. I'm going national with this one. Speaking of nationals.
Oh, yes. Totally
your
forgot about the
World
Nationals.
Series champion. We didn't really want to cover this that early because it's national. I'm going to keep making that joke. It's
news of the Nationals.
Yes, thank you. That's what it is. So that's why we didn't get to this earlier. But the Washington Nationals are the first time World Series champions. The first time in their existence as the Nationals. They won as the Washington Senators, I guess. Thanks for the round of applause.
Back in like the 20s.
But they got it done at Minute Maid Park 6-2 in Game 7 on Wednesday night. The first team to ever win all 4 games of a series on the road, which is ridiculous.
The first series ever, the road team won every game.
That's insane.
Crazy.
How would you feel if you're a Houston fan? How would you feel if you're a Houston season ticket holder
I think
who went to every one of those games?
If you're a Houston fan and you're really down in the dumps about this loss, which you probably are, I think you're calling for A.J. Hinch's head, especially after they didn't bring Garrett Cole in and you took Zack Greinke out of the game.
But that's the modern manager where it's not about him. It's about the nerds, you know? It's whatever computer system said that Zack Greinke can't go the third time through the lineup.
Well, the reasoning for the Garrett Cole thing compared to the Zack Greinke thing.
Yeah.
Well, Zack Greinke, I mean, it was, what was it, the 7th inning? I mean, he had been lights out, but you got to
80
think
pitches, 7th
80
inning,
pitches, third time. I mean, you got to think
lights out.
fatigue is going to set in at some point. I don't know.
Let him be the one to prove that. I don't know.
Also, the Garrett Cole thing, John Smoltz kept harping on this on the broadcast. It's like, well, it's the middle of the inning, and he's a starter, so it's going to be tough for him to come out and adjust to that. If Garrett Cole is that good, he can adjust to that.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, even like, because it wasn't just that, but it was the fact that, 8th inning, 9th inning, they didn't even bring him in then.
Yeah,
and
it was insane.
The game blew open in the top of the 9th, and that's when it became 6-2, and it wasn't just 3-2.
It was a 1-run game in the top of the 9th.
Let's say Garrett Cole warms up, he gets his starters warm up, whatever, comes in the 9th, shuts him down 3 runs. You're only down 1 run. You got the top of your order up, and the Astros can go up and try to tie that game. But instead, the relievers couldn't do it. The lead became 4 runs, and it was over. Altuve, literally the most depressing at-bat of all time. Did you see that?
We watched them.
Fastball,
really
right down the
remembering.
plate. Didn't swing at it. Fastball right down the plate. Didn't swing at it. Fastball a little bit off and just swings a minute late and just walks to the dugout. And that was just the encapsulation of what happened there in Houston.
Yeah.
The Nationals gave some life and the Astros just let it happen.
You got to wonder, obviously, it's the most obvious thing ever, but you got to wonder what happens if Zack Greinke stays in that game.
You got to wonder. What happens if
And
Malcolm Butler plays in the Super Bowl? It's always these, these
it's
big,
always those
what happens if they call the penalty on the Noah Achari trip, There's always something.
Don't get me started.
Sorry.
But going back to that, the officiating, we didn't talk about did we talk about game 6?
No.
With the Trey Turner play, and
Oh my God.
we had the Noah Achari trip.
No, because that was Tuesday night after we'd recorded.
Yeah, we had the Noah Achari trip. And we had a lot of other officiating controversies in the NHL playoffs. I'm sure it happened a lot in the NBA playoffs. It's
always something.
In the NFL with the Saints, it's so pathetic that the officials are the storyline coming out of games in the playoffs across the 4 major leagues. It's pathetic. It really is.
So Trey Turner, it was like a swinging bunt basically, and he was running kind of the left side of the base path going to first, and then he went straight to the bag, but he kind of nicked the first baseman's glove enough to make it fall off. And they called interference.
You're penalizing Trey Turner for a bad throw by who was the pitcher?
It was the catcher, right?
No, it was the pitcher.
Oh, I don't know.
You're penalizing Turner for a bad throw by whoever the pitcher was.
Yeah, and he ran straight to the base. He wasn't like,
I think it was
sometimes on swinging bunts they kind of like try to move a little bit to get in the way of the throw, and it just like hits him in the back of the head. And
it was a throw too far to the right, and whoever the
Gurriel, the first baseman.
Gurriel, yes, the first baseman had to reach over for it. And Trey Turner had eventually gotten back to the middle of the bag and was straddling the line, which he's okay to do by the time he got to the bag and the throw was there.
By the letter of the law, it was the right call, which is the only reason I'm not outraged about it. But have a sense for the situation.
Well, by the letter of the, I don't know.
Watch it. It's like
everyone. I think Kate Upton was the only person who said he was safe or said he should have been out.
Yeah, I kind of thought he should have been out.
Really? I mean, even Smoltz and Buck were on the broadcast were saying, "Oh boy."
If you're reading the rule book, he should have been out. But if you're thinking about the situation and the way that it happened, if you're watching it, you're treating it with a subjective point of view, then he's safe. That makes sense. I don't know.
I think without context,
it's not always black and white.
I think without context, which would make it black and white.
Right.
It's the right call,
So there
which
you
it
go.
wasn't.
True.
But
Fair enough.
context makes it the wrong call.
Well, regardless, the Nationals didn't care because they still won that game, and then they came back the next night and won again to win their World Series title. MVP honors went to Steven Strasburg. Did you agree with that?
Surprising.
I love it.
I really like it. I mean, good for Strasburg. All his time with the Nationals and all the injuries, all the
Right.
comeback, it's worked out.
He was like a wonder kid,
Yeah.
and then he kind of disappeared, probably because of those injuries. Because of Scherzer becoming the number one guy, and he comes back, he gets 2 wins
He
in the World
struggled a
Series.
few years ago. There was one year he was really bad.
A real comeback story.
And
Good for him.
yeah, I think Rendon certainly had a case for it.
Yeah. I would have given it to him.
Maybe
probably.
Juan. I would probably have given it to Rendon too. Maybe Juan Soto. Howie Kendrick wasn't quite as good as he was in the conference series.
Yeah.
But he was still huge.
Yeah, he's like Johnny Gomes. He's just the most random old hype man that just gets it done.
Yep.
At least in the big spot.
I'm
Gomes
so
didn't really
happy
do
for
much
Max
else.
Scherzer.
Mad Max gets his title over Verlander. Weren't they buddies? Because they were both in
Probably.
Detroit. I think they were pals.
Probably. Both Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Is Greinke a Hall of Famer?
They said so on the broadcast. I
I found that
I would
surprising.
tend to agree.
Yeah. He's been a bit of a journeyman. I don't know.
But he's been a journeyman the last few years because he's old.
True. He's
And he
not
hasn't
old, but yeah.
Well, he's older.
Expendable, though.
And he hasn't been that great since he is older.
Mm.
But he was a real revelation this season. Real bounce back year.
True. Alrighty. Any other I keep saying that.
And ones.
And ones that you'd like to get to?
The Capitals puppy is just the greatest thing on the internet,
That
and
is-
that's all I have for that.
Yeah. The Capitals
Just all-
puppy. They keep
They trotted him out in
Yeah.
different Halloween costumes every day this week, and it was awesome.
terrible for the dog, good for everybody else. You think the dog got tired of it? Or he just love
I
it.
think he's a puppy and he doesn't really know any better. But I'm sure he would like to just be running around without the costumes. But it all depends, because I mean, we'll get into dog talk in the sports podcast,
Please.
but like some dogs either really hate it or some dogs just kind of deal with it or don't mind it.
They've told you that?
Well, is my experience.
As a dog?
Well, as a dog owner and seeing other people with dogs.
Yes. Okay. Another and one for you. The Revolution signed a left back. He's Dutch. His name is Alexander Butzner. B-U with the 2 like dots above
The
the
German
U.
U.
The German U. T-T.
That's just what I called it right now. I don't know if that's
Butzner.
an official name.
Alexander Butzner. He's a 30-year-old left back. Formerly played for Manchester United. So that's a good thing.
You know,
And they've had some trouble at left back, so I like it. He's got some offensive ability too. He's like Chris Tierney 2.0.
does he have a boot?
What do you mean?
Can he boot the ball?
Yeah, Butzner. I like
It
it.
would have been great if he was a striker and he just scored goals.
Yeah. Okay. 30-year-old, 12 professional seasons in the Dutch, English, Russian, and Belgium top leagues. Wow, he's been around. But
Avs
now
on
he's
the
coming here.
or not Avs, Revs on the upswing.
Definitely. That's why I'm keeping us updated here, because it's a fun team to pay attention to right now. And then when they finally win an MLS Cup, we can come back and say that we've always been on the bandwagon.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Is that everything we've got for today?
I believe so.
I feel like it is. So that's what we've got going on. We didn't say what the Celtics have coming ahead this weekend. They take on
Tonight,
the
the
Knicks.
Knicks.
Is that it? I think for the weekend, right? No doubleheader.
Oh,
Yes.
speaking of basketball,
Yes.
did you see the brawl between Embiid, Simmons, and Towns the other night?
Yeah. Wasn't it kind of exaggerated? The whole thing. Was it warranted? I didn't.
It
watch
wasn't
the game.
warranted. The picture of what started it all was Embiid literally had a finger.
Yeah.
No, Towns had a finger on Embiid, and Embiid just lost it.
Well, you assume that it was kind of boiling up to that point.
And Karl Anthony Towns got Embiid into a headlock, and then Ben Simmons came over and had Embiid or Towns in a chokehold headlock on the ground, and you see
God.
Towns kind of like start to tap out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Embiid and Towns both got 2 games, and somehow Ben Simmons didn't get any game because it was deemed that he was a peacemaker and trying to calm Karl Anthony Towns down with his arms. And it's like, no, he's literally mounted him on the ground with a headlock on him. How is Ben Simmons get off scot-free there?
Because we're defending the Stars. Because you don't want to.
But those are your 2 other stars.
76ers. I think you saw like it started with Embiid and Towns, so like you have to do something about them.
Yeah.
People are calling for 8 games, and they both got 2 because
Well,
they're crucial to their teams.
It was one of the biggest ones since Malice and the Palace.
Yeah.
Obviously, nowhere close to Malice and the Palace
Mm-hmm.
or Ron Artest, now Meta World Peace.
That's right.
But
Yeah, it's just these 2 stars. They got into a bit of a kerfuffle, and you need to do something about
big
it.
kerfuffle.
You give them 2 games, which
Simmons
feels like
should've
the
got one.
minimum. Simmons, well, the problem is then you're stripping the 76ers of their 2-star players.
For a
And oh, by
game.
the way, we still need a good product, you know?
Wow.
I know, but it's just like that's kind of what's important. Will the people still care as much if Embiid and Simmons aren't playing? That's the problem. So, call him a peacemaker, do whatever you have to do to make it look good on the PR side, but I don't know. That's just my completely, I don't know, kind of out there perspective of it.
Okay.
Maybe not. I think that's it for our show, Patrick.
I think so.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the show. Bit all over the place. We had our throw in very early with Ethan Fuller joining us once again. Thanks to him for that. A frequent contributor to the show. We always like having him on. We've talked a lot of sports today, all over the place, national and Boston related. We hope you've enjoyed all of it. And please check us out on Twitter at DuckBoatReport. Interact with us through our own social media, Brady D. Gardner and Pat Don 12. And that's it for this show. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next week.